Now I'm going to show you a picture. I promise you, well, no, I want you to promise me you do not laugh. This is going back a ways. Ready? Look at me. Good Lord. So this is somewhere around 2001, 2002. This is my first business. You know, I worked for entrepreneurs my whole life. I've been very active in marketing, and I helped grow franchise businesses, I told you. But one of the things I did, I created a newsletter when I was 21, when I was manager of a bicycle store. And every job I had after that included me creating a newsletter for that business. Looked like I was just slouching in my chair. Sorry, it's getting late. So let me sit up straight. So I created a newsletter. So when I lost my job, I was a six-figure executive working for a training company, and I told my wife, honey, don't worry about it. I'll be fielding multiple lucrative job offers in a matter of weeks. Well, God had other plans for me, because I went through about 17 months of unemployment, crushed my confidence, my self-esteem, my once healthy ego. I felt like a big loser. I saw my neighbors going off to work. I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get a job. And then a year into my unemployment, I was diagnosed with stage 2 melanoma. And so my world was rocked. And then the real short story is, in that same summer, I'm dealing with melanoma. I'm trying to find a surgeon. I don't know if I'm going to be alive in 5 years and all this and that. That same summer, I was offered a job, a consulting gig to help a chain of musical instrument retail stores. They wanted me to do a feasibility study to see if it made sense for them to franchise. They were aware of who I was in my experience. So I did that. So I had like 3 months of income as a consultant. In the end, they offered me a job to help finance their company. This was, I think the job offer came on like August 30th, 2001. And I'm back and forth with surgeons. I'm trying to do this. I would have had to move, but I'm dealing with them a lot on the phone and stuff. And anyway, when the date was set for my surgery, I got the final offer for this job the day before my surgery. And so I drove into Philadelphia knowing that I had at least one monkey off my back. And then on September 11th, 2001, I'm on the couch recovering from my surgery, and September 11th happened. And about 3 or 4 days later, my new employer called and said, hey, we're going to put our growth plans on hold. I'm sure you can understand. Well, I was just devastated again. So anyway, I decided at that point, you know, there comes to be a point where you hit rock bottom, and there's no place to go but up when you hit rock bottom. So did a lot of praying, and I was told to be an entrepreneur. So I started my first business. I knew I'd be a consultant because I enjoyed that. But I also know when you sell yourself as a consultant, it's pretty hard because it's kind of intangible. It's you. Well, oh, what can you do for me? It's not like you can't show them anything. So I said, well, I'm really good at newsletters. So I started doing newsletters as kind of a cash cow business, as a homemade display I made. And I started, you know, it was just everything. Anyway, I grew that business within 5 years to about $300,000. I felt, wow, look at me. I feel pretty good. Problem is $300,000 I was grossing was a little bit less than, you know, $100,000 of income, which I needed more than that for my family of 6. So that's when in 2006, I was first introduced to Dan Kennedy, became a huge mentor of mine. I learned about internet marketing. I was really unfamiliar with that. I was really trying to grow on just a local level. All my clients, from local businesses, Chamber of Commerce, nonprofits, associations, they were all, you know, say within 10 or 15 miles of my home. And suddenly I thought, well, how can I sell my content, the articles that I was putting in my client newsletters? Could I create another revenue stream in addition to what I'm doing here with Dynamic Communication, the name of my first business? Not a great name, I admit. And how could I sell the articles and stuff that I'm pretty good at writing? So then I created the very, very entry-level version of what is now No Hassle Newsletters. And I started selling content that other people that had newsletters could put in their newsletters to fill out the space, if that makes sense. It was kind of filler. And I started getting articles, content. I'm sorry. I started getting customers. I get excited for this story. I started getting customers. And then I think I had about 30 paying customers, probably about 20, 25 bucks. So I don't even remember where I started. And I think, well, this is good money, but damn, I'm putting a lot of work into this. So it seemed to me I need to be able to scale this. So I wanted to grow it. And there was one of the first major conferences I went to. I don't think it was St. Louis. I think St. Louis was second, where I met I think it was Molly, I think. And you know what was very, very cool? So there I am in my No Hassle newsletter booth, and about 6 of my subscribers came up. Hey, Jim, we really love No Hassle newsletters, love the content. By the way, I think one of them said our customers love reading the content. And if you go to nohasslenewsletters.com, you'll see I have my trademarked customer loving content. That's because one of my customers told me their customers love my content. So customer loving content, that's where that came from. You got to be a good listener. Anyway, they said, but, that was the time also when I had just launched my first book, Magic of Newsletter Marketing. And in there, I talk about how to print them, how to mail them, how to fold them, how to design them, everything. And they go, we love the content, but can you recommend somebody to design some templates for us? And I thought, well, I do this. I want to keep these guys as clients. I'd like to make more money. So then I started design, because I did all those designs, not the best, but certainly not the worst. I'm okay with that, right? So I designed some templates, added it to the content, and I increased the price. Now I'm selling dynamic communication, my main business. I'm selling content, but I'm also selling templates for a higher price. And that kept going from there. Now, let's go into this is what today I would call my dream business. So the next business was No Hassle newsletters. That was business number 2. And after about a year, I grew that to about, if I remember right, about 60 people a month were paying me. And believe me, when I got a client in, I think my first one was England, and then I got an Australian. I got somebody in the Netherlands. I got somebody in Canada. And it dawned on me, hey, I'm international. So I'm like internationally known. So I have international clients. And I kept going, raising my prices, etc. And the next thing I went to, I was exhibiting a lot at different places. And so the next thing I did, people would ask me, hey, Jim, I know in your book you say they use a certain paper. You don't trifold them because that, and by the way, I don't trifold newsletters because then they're the same size as a business envelope and it gets hidden in the mail. You want to bifold them, 5.5 by 8.5, so it sticks out larger. There's a free tip for you as a newsletter guy, right? So they're going, who do you recommend to print them? And I promise you, I'm standing there in the booth. I don't know, maybe it was back at the room. These people keep asking me for recommendations. They obviously see me as the newsletter guru, the sharp guy, which is kind of awkward when you first do that. But they started asking me for recommendations, and I'm like, at some point I said to myself, I could make a referral or I could create another revenue stream. So after No Hassle newsletters, I then launched Concierge Print and Mail on Demand. Now, I don't own printing presses or anything, but I reached out to the guy who was doing all my printing for my first business, all my customers, and I said, I'm going to start sending you by way of my website some newsletters, and they'll include a mailing list, and I want you to print them and mail them for my clients. And I gave him a spreadsheet, let's say minimum 200 to 300, 300 to 400, and he filled out what my costs would be. I add a markup to that. And so when someone goes to newsletterprintingservice.com, I believe is the website, I haven't been there in a while, they place an order, and then that order goes right to my buddy who prints it and mails it, and he sends me a bill. And obviously the difference between his bill and what I collect up front is another revenue stream. Now you're going, well, geez, that sounds like a lot of work. The hell it is. I set up this system. It took me a while to put it together. And but you know what? I don't touch that. I don't do anything for that. Those orders go through. Now, my business has contracted a little bit because I focus almost all my time on coaching. But do you know, in the heyday, which is about 3 or 4 years ago, I was printing 40,000 plus newsletters a month. I'm physically doing nothing except processing these orders, and I'm having one hell of a nice ka-ching. Technically, my 3rd revenue stream, and we'll keep going. All right, is this pretty cool? What the hell happened there? Okay, there we go. All right, next revenue stream. Jim, I promise you this is how it happens. People emailed me. Now I'm doing social media. They're seeing me on Facebook and all over the place. Jim, we're seeing you create all these content. We know you're doing articles for your newsletters. You got your team of writers. Well, one of the way they know that is I talk about it. Hey, I just got a batch of content from my team of writers. So I'm always planting seeds and promoting, right? Remember I told you always must be promoting. And anyway, so I'm saying that and they go, we need some blog posts. we need some articles. Can you recommend some of your writers? Now, what do you think I did? I could create I could give a referral, or I could create a revenue stream. So I made a very simple website, contentarticlegenerator.com. People can go there, fill out a form. What's your business? What's your URL? For a 300-word article, what do you want it to be about? Who's your audience? There may be one or two other questions. That they place the order, and I think the articles are about $30, and that order goes right to the people that were writing all my content with the newsletters. I said, here's the deal. Here's the deal, team of writers. I'm going to feed you even more business. You don't even have to go for it. I'm going to funnel this business to you, but I want the JP price. So they gave me a really, really good price, which I then marked up, and now I'm in the article business. Is this pretty cool or what? If this is cool, say, Jim, you're cool. No, I'm just kidding. You don't have to say that. Okay. So the next thing I did, again, now I'm getting, I think this is around 2012, if I remember right. Social media is really starting to go. I was all over Facebook from the beginning. I was doing my videos. I'm blogging like crazy. There used to be something called, what was that article site? I can't remember, but putting articles on this page, it was a huge article site. I just don't remember what it's called. So anyway, people, Jim, you're doing all this stuff for social media, etc. And actually, this idea came from me when I invested in my first paid mastermind. This was in addition to me putting all this money out to exhibit myself at these national conferences. I knew I should be in a mastermind at this point. And that's a whole nother story. Maybe I'll tell that with the millionaire mindset, but it was about $400 a month. Now, I'm doing okay now, but keep in mind, as my revenue grows, I amassed quite a fortune of debt, keeping my family afloat, investing in myself, investing in my various businesses. So as money came in, it was flowing out. So for me to say, all right, I'm going to step up and invest $400 a month in my first mastermind was a big deal for me. I'm telling you, it was a holy crap. And I go in my drawer and find another credit card that had a balance on it. And I put it on it. And I promised myself, I said, Jim, is this a little bit of maybe the millionaire mindset? But I want to tell you what I was thinking. I said, I'm a damn hard worker. I'm pretty smart. I will implement like crazy. I'm driven. I'm passionate, etc. If somebody in this mastermind feeds me an idea, I will use that idea to replace the investment that I'm making, if that makes sense. On the second mastermind meeting, somebody goes, so let me get this straight. You got somebody writing articles for you for the newsletters. You got this, that, and the other thing. And you're doing all this social media. Why don't you just take some of that content and convert it to be blog posts and change that to Twitter tweets and Facebook posts and show how you can do it? Anyway, I sold this story yesterday. I created a business called No Hassle Social Media, which was basically taking a lot of the content I was already using and just repurposing it in the social media way. I had these templates. Here's a blog post. Here's how you can promote that blog post. Here's your Twitter handles, blah, blah, blah. So I did all that. I spent about 4 months. This is when I was sleeping like 4 hours a night. I spent about 4 months. I launched that program. We grew that to about a couple hundred members paying me $47 a month. What is that? I can't do that in my head. 47 times 200. At one point, that thing was producing $9,400 a month, which is $112,000 a year. Ka-ching, right? And how hard was that? Well, it's not that hard, but you can only be so smart. That's why you need to be in a mastermind, by the way. So there's a little pushing for you. All right, the next thing I did, I got to speed this up. God, 8:40, holy smokes. The next thing I did is I started creating home study courses like how to sell from the stage like a pro, double my retention, and a bunch of others. I launched my podcast. My podcast is in its 7th year. 7 years. It used to be called something else, but for the last, at least 4 years, Dream Business Radio. I also had Dream Business TV. I don't have this anymore, but when I started, I thought I had it, but when I started video, do you remember in 2009, that little Kodak flip camera? They were all different colors. I had a purple one. You flip open the lens and talk. I had one of those. It was like $120. And I started a weekly video show. I think I called it No Hassle Newsletter TV. Then I called it Newsletter Guru TV, and then it became Dream Business TV. I did a weekly video. This is produced, not live. I did a weekly video for 6 years. Every single week, only missed 2 weeks in 6 years. There's a lesson in there. It's about persistence and consistency. Anyway, that really helped. At one point, every time I launched a video, over 1,000 people watched it on YouTube. That's not today, but that's one of the ways I really, really grew my little empire. And then in 2009, another thing happened. I'm going to these shows. I'm getting quite a reputation amongst different entrepreneurs. Some people are struggling to get their first business. Jim, my God, how many businesses do you have right now? And I'm naming them all, and that's pretty cool. Do you think you could help me? That's when I launched my coaching program. So my coaching program is 10 years old, almost going on its 11th year here, Dream Business Mastermind. I then started in 2011 or 12. I think it was 2012. I started doing a live event called Dream Business Mastermind. Did 8 of them. My last one was in September, except never say never. I'm doing the one in Orlando. I created a company called Success Advantage Publishing. So all the books I published, all the home study courses I published, in Success Advantage Publishing, my authors, my editors, my writers, my editors, my book designers, they take care of the books for my mastermind members. There's my books. I'm sure you're familiar with those. I read last year, or about 18 months ago, I created a whole ebook series or Kindle book series called the Dream Business Book Series. There's another one of my home study courses. Another one. That's my cool logo that we designed for Dream Business Everything. And today, because of everything I just showed you, I'm living my dream. I admit it. Pinch me every day. This is my floating home. This is what we live on. And we travel up and down the East Coast. We're called snowbirds because it's cold, so we're going to go south, and then next spring we'll come back north. That's if you haven't seen me yet, because I haven't done it in about a week or more, but I do my morning chats, my Captain Jim at the helm chats, and I posted that picture. That's a picture. Steph took that picture of me when I was leading one of my masterminds. So life is really, really good. That's kind of the whole multiple streams of revenue piece